Mit navn er Thomas Vest, og jeg står til CeBIT, og det her er Tweak til CeBIT 2013. Jeg står med Allan Røbler her, og han vil gerne fortælle lidt om Intels gaming og om Intels processor. Could you please tell which processor do you have as the target for the gamers?
I'd like to. Basically, we have in this hall, we have several different gaming processors. They're Core i7s and Core i5s. The laptops have Core i5s. Our big gaming rigs that are desktops are top-of-the-line Core i7 3960X processors. And what they actually allow is they're a 6-core, 12-thread processor running around 3.4 gigahertz. There's only one step beyond that, was just recently released at the end of last year, which is the Core i7 3970X, and that one runs at 3.5 gigahertz.
All right. Why do the end users have to choose your high-end processors, your extreme processors, compared to the not extreme with the X after? If we take the 3930K and the 3960X, the price in Denmark is twice as much for the extreme one. How could that be?
Why is there the price difference? Well, it's a binning process, right? We only get so many out at the higher speeds, and what that means is that because there's the fewer of them, we're able to charge more for the very fastest speed processors. Now, if you don't want the highest end, the 6-core right versions, you can go down to our K SKUs, right? And the K means it's unlocked, like with the X. And what you actually get with that is you have an unlocked processor that's 4 cores, 8 threads, so it's 2 cores less than what you get with the extreme ones, but it's great for gaming. You can actually get online, for at least American, it's about $326, maybe $330 for the unlocked processor. Now that would fit into like a C77 chipset board, and those are great because you can get those anywhere from, I've seen all the way up to like $380, all the way down to like about $160. And but you can still have the complete unlock capability. You overclock the memory, you overclock the processor. On air, those processors, the K SKUs, you can probably get up to about 4.5. But just on air, you don't have to go to liquid cooling or something more exotic. And for myself, that's what I actually use at home. I use the Core i7 3770K processor as my gaming processor.
All right, and in Denmark, we favor that Iron-based processor as the best choice to gaming. Which target does the extreme processors and the big 6-core processors have? Where are their target markets?
Target market is definitely the extreme gamer, right? Or if they're actually into like graphics and stuff like that, the additional cores that you get with the programs that are out there for doing video manipulation, it's great for that. So you have kind of those two spectrums where it's either for the video enthusiasts, where they actually want to do all the types of video manipulation, or it's for the extreme gamers, where they actually have the fastest possible core with the most threads, so it doesn't bog down in the really intense scenes. But of course, you have to couple that with a high-end graphics card, like right now the NVIDIA Titan card, which is the fastest performance single GPU core, or you can do it with the 7970 with, I believe, is the fastest AMD graphics processor.
Yes. In Denmark, the Iron-based processor is in test better for gaming than the high-end Sandy Bridge E processors. And you say that Sandy Bridge E is target for the extreme gamers. How can that be if the Iron-based processors are better in gaming situations?
You have 2 different core designs there. The latest Core i7 3770K is actually a generation beyond the one that you have in the Core i7 3960X or the 3930, those processors. So you actually have improvement in the actual core design. It's more efficient at running the actual code. And so at the later this year, there's going to be a follow-on that is based off of the Ivy Bridge core, but built into the next generation Extreme series processor, which is the X series.
All right. Now we saw the Sony PlayStation 4 presented back in February. Why isn't that AMD have their architecture in the PlayStation? Why not Intel?
Well, because they didn't ask us actually to supply the processor. AMD is the one that they asked to, and because they've used them before. The PlayStation, they of course use the, I think it's the IBM processor in there. But like say for I think what we have right now, all the new game consoles, so the Wii U, the PlayStation 4 or whatever they're going to call it, and the Xbox, they're all going to be using a AMD graphics processor and regular processor for it. So they're basically using AMD up and down the stack. The last time that Intel actually had a processor in a gaming device was the original Xbox.
All right. We all know that Haswell is on its way, and will Haswell be the new king of the throne when it comes to gaming?
Yes, because one, it's actually the fourth generation of our core processor technology, and what that does is again additional efficiencies that they're able to put into it to actually make it better for gaming. The big emphasis, I must admit, is that we're working more towards getting the thermal or the power usage down, still keep the efficiency and the performance up, so it can actually be used in like better, basically high performance ultrabooks and into tablets.
All right, and we all know also the HD 4000 graphic chip. And in Haswell, will we see a big performance jump compared to what we saw with Sandy Bridge and Iron Bridge? Will Haswell take the needed step to make a graphic solution?
It's definitely going to be faster than the HD 4000 graphics score, which is our fastest one we have out right now. What they've actually announced at CES at the beginning of the year was they're expecting around a 2x performance boost with the new graphics core. Now, you have to remember there's three different graphics cores they're doing, what they call GT3, GT2, and GT1. And the GT3 is what's going to have the highest performance. The desktop processors are only going to do the GT2 graphics core. And it's still more, it's still faster than what you actually have in the HD 4000 graphics, but it's not what you're going to have in the mobile, basically the mobile platform.
Everybody have a big question in Denmark. How can it be that an 8-core AMD processor can outperform a 4-core Core i5 processor? How can that be?
I think you have that backwards. The Core i5 processor, 4-core, is faster than an 8-core AMD processor.
How can that be?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. One thing is that the efficiency of our core for single-threaded applications, right, is that much more efficient than what is available in the AMD processor. That's one of the things that we keep improving generation on generation. We go anywhere, depending on the type of software, or at least the type of functionality that is going through the core. You either get anywhere from like 5 to 15% for each generation. So that means that from like the Core 2 Duo, we increase 15% to the Core i3 or i5 or i7, right? And then that's the second generation, the third generation we're at right now, and then a fourth generation, which is what the Haswell processor is going to be. That's, say, 15, 15, 15, 15. You're going to get that much more efficient, and that makes us basically that much stronger in single-threaded performance. That actually helps for most games, because most games are single-threaded applications, right? So if AMD is able to improve their single-threaded performance, they would then start catching up with what we're able to do. But they're going to have to do a lot bigger increase than the 50% we're doing each generation to catch us.
Yes, because AMD was on the throne back in the 2004 and 5. And what is your opinion of what has gone wrong from AMD? What was their big mistake back then?
Well, they actually went ahead with doing the two integer cores with a shared floating point core, and this is basically the generation last 3, right? I think they just didn't have the efficiency they needed to for single-threaded applications like we've actually been able to keep increasing each generation. If they actually could do that, or they put more actual cores, maybe less efficient, but more cores that are do integers, which is where the single-threaded application goes through, then they may be able to actually improve that, which means that instead of a 4-core or 8-core unit that they actually have, it would be like a 10-unit or a 12-unit one.
All right, and what are your plans for mobile devices in 2012 and 2013? Here I think can Haswell be used to mobile devices, and how?
I'm glad you asked that. Haswell is kind of the whole idea of Haswell was to actually drive the thermal design down and the actual power usage down, right? So it can be used in a mobile platform. So what we're looking at doing is we're going to have an ultra-mobile processor, Haswell processor, that it combines the actual processor core and the actual chipset. So it's going to be in one package. So it's sort of basically, you actually have two dies. If you actually pulled it off, you can actually see the actual processor, right? So there's actually on the package the graphics, or I should say the processor core with graphics and the chipset. You combine the two across the bus on the package itself. You're able to lower the actual power of the whole system. You don't have to go onto the motherboard to actually do the communications, which then lowers the total power of the system. And with that lower power, we're hoping to be able to get into the tablet space. How low we can actually go depends on how efficient we can actually make the actual Haswell processor.
All right, will Haswell be a competitor to NVIDIA Tegra? Also the new generation of Tegra, I think Tegra 5 and the new the actual Tegra Cal-L.
I don't believe that we're going to be basically competitors with the Haswell and their new Tegra 4. Because the core technology, it's so much more powerful than what the Tegra is going to be able to do. What's going to be most likely is going to be our Atom-based processors. We're going to coming out with we're right now about ready to launch a dual-core Atom, and then beyond that is in 2014 we're going to be coming out with a new core design for that, and that's going to be what's going to give us our efficiencies and lower power and basically a lot more performance, both in the graphics and in the actual processor, the core processor capability. All
right, and here is a general question. Many people wonder how it can be that they can only have 2 or actually 1 PCI Express X16 connector on Irbit platforms. You can put 4 graphic cards using a chipset. How can be you haven't increased the amount of PCI Express lanes?
Well, now you're getting to the actual number of actual pins in the actual socket, right? So the 2011, we actually have 40 PCI Express lanes coming out of the processor itself, which means you have to have a lot more pins in the socket. That's why it's 2011, right? 2011 actual pins. For our Ivy Bridge right now, we actually have 1155. For the Haswell, when we go to the next launch of the Haswell desktop processor, that drops down to 1150. And what actually happens there is we're just basically getting rid of some of the pins. So there's a difference between those two, and it's basically the reason why we actually change that is we get different, to get efficient layout, break out the signals from the actual silicon to get out to the actual package itself, which then goes into the socket. You actually have to relay that out for the most efficiency. Less crosstalk in between the actual pins and for the lines that actually come out from the actual processor itself. So the reason, basically, get back to your question about why you only have the by 16 out of that, the 1150 socket or 1155 socket, we'd have to increase the number of actual pins, right, to actually break out for more PCI Express lanes.
All right, and I have a side question to that. If we have will the new Haswell platform be compatible with the next generation, which come after Haswell? As we saw it with CeBIT and CeBIT, they are compatible with each other. Will we see the same with Haswell and the next generation?
So what you're saying is, will the 1150 socket be the same for Broadwell?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, right now they've actually announced that Broadwell is strictly going to be for a mobile platform. They're not planning to do a desktop, at this point that I know of, a desktop processor. So at this point right now, you have Haswell, and then you have to go to the one beyond Broadwell.
All right, and CeBIT E and CeBIT E, will they be compatible with each other? Well, you can use an CeBIT E processor in a CeBIT E motherboard.
Yes, the socket 2011 is going to be the same socket for the basically the Ivy Bridge E, which is your extreme processor series.
All right, and can you tell anything about the improvement we will see with CeBIT E compared to CeBIT E? If it's the same socket as you say before with PCI Express lanes and pins?
I have not seen any performance numbers, and I basically can't talk about that because it's still under NDA.
All right, and if we take Haswell and CeBIT, can you tell something there? What is the new with Haswell? Beside the processor, but how does the motherboard have some improvements?
Well, the new motherboards are using a new chipset. It's called Lynx Point. That's the big new one that we're going to have. The other thing is that you're going to have up to, I think it's 6 to maybe 8 USB 3 ports coming out of that chipset. You're also going to have your standard by 16 PCI Express ports. Those are all going to be PCI Express 3.0 speeds. I'm trying to think what else we actually have available in the Lynx Point chipset. That's off the top of my head that I can remember. I wish I had more.
All right, thank you very much.